What's up?
Welcome to the pod.
Welcome
Here we
to
go.
the pod.
2 cents with Josh and Spence. Let's go, huh?
What's up? My name is Josh. This beautiful man to my right here is my man Spence. 2
you.
cents. Josh and Spence. What's going on, people?
Very special pod today. You know why?
Why is that?
We have not one camera,
Okay.
not 2 cameras.
Well, do we have just one camera then?
We have 3 cameras.
3 cameras. 3 cameras.
Do you know what that means, Josh?
3 cameras. Tell me more.
We can cut to this camera.
What?
We can cut to your camera.
What?
We can cut to the center camera.
What?
We can zoom in,
Zoom in.
out.
Zoom out. Literally nothing we can't do.
So hopefully Dustin can actually figure that out. Otherwise,
I feel like the people are about to understand what a true Splent production is.
yeah. So if you're not watching on YouTube or Spotify, yes, you can watch it on Spotify, believe it or not.
If you're not
You're
able
doing
to,
it wrong.
If you're not able to see us right now, you are consuming this content incorrectly, I would say.
We also just made the first edition 2 cents shirts. We did them wrong.
We made our cents shirts.
They're in the armpit, so you'll see the logos in the armpit, which is kind of cool.
Okay, so maybe that could be a good segue. Note to sellers, like sometimes do it yourself isn't necessarily the way to go.
Interesting.
Oh.
Hire a professional.
All right. Well, okay. So today we wanted to talk about the listing process. Okay, because it can be. We did another episode where we kind of walked somebody through, like, hey, I'm thinking about I want to buy a house. To boom, you got the keys, right?
Yep.
So the flip side of that coin is, let's talk about selling that bad boy. You're ready to upgrade. The market went up. You want to cash out. You want to take whatever you want to do. What does that look like?
So what yeah, let's get right into it, man. What is my first step? You know, I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure. I'm not totally even sure if I want to sell. What's my first step?
We see that quite a bit where like somebody might stop by our website and we call them and they're just like, well, I'm just kind of looking. I'm really not even sure. You know, we've got a house right now and really not sure what we want to do. Or somebody stops by an open house maybe, and instead of looking to buy, they're kind of a nosy neighbor and curious what their home is worth because they live nearby. So, like typically, because there's a lot going on at this point, right? Because you got to buy, sell. It sounds simple just saying it that way, but like logistically, there's a lot more going on now. So what I have found that typically, if you can kind of chunk that down, and all of a sudden, okay, well, let's first focus on your current place right now. So we typically start with what we call a CMA or a comparable market analysis, free home valuation, that sort of thing. So that's an opportunity for us to kind of meet with you at your current place where you're at now, get a feel for the place, kind of do like, usually what we'll do is like a 15, 20-minute walkthrough of your current home, right? And then we'll go back to the lab, go back to the office, review all the comparable homes, make adjustments to make it more like your place, and then kind of give you a range of what your current home is worth. Because like I believe that clarity is power, right? So the more knowns versus unknowns that we have, the easier it's going to be for you to make a good decision on what to do. Because like how much you're going to be able to pay to the next place probably depends on how much money you're going to put in your pocket after we get this place sold.
For sure. Well, and how can you even expect someone to make that decision without even knowing that number on what they could possibly sell it for?
Right.
So,
right.
And this, like I always offer this to people, like whether you even want to sell right now or in a year or 2 years, like still get a CMA. Like I feel like I do one on my house every month. Like, it's good to know, and like there's ways that we can do them where it's not a full CMA. It's just kind of what sold in my neighborhood this month. How much did it sell for? That way you can always kind of know, and you can keep an eye on how much your home is appreciating and all that. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, because some people too like it's a great way to build your net worth, right? Through real estate. So keeping an eye on the market every month.
Keep an eye on your investment
every 6 months, once a year, and then too maybe you just want to have. Maybe you're thinking about taking out like a line of credit or a second mortgage against your home, so you could pay off some other debt or do some, maybe even invest in another property or something like that. It'd be nice before you spend $600 on an appraisal, right? Like having an appraiser come out, spending $600 or whatever through the bank, like first have one of us come out and be like, yep, you should be kind of right in this range, right?
Right.
So we can do that.
Said
and
a big word there, range.
range.
A little foreshadow.
Yeah, buddy. And so yeah, that's usually the first step, because it's like, and a lot of times what sellers want to do is they want to focus on the next place, because they're like, I don't even know if I want to move yet. Like maybe I'm not even excited enough about moving, but it's like I really can't help you unless we know kind of where we are. It's like tracking anything. Like you want to get fit. It's like, okay, well, where are you right now? Like let's start with where you're at. And it's super easy. We do it in 2 steps. Which again is, so we'll come out to your home, do like a quick 15-20 minute, and like the house doesn't need to be pristine. Like we can see beyond, like, whatever.
Dishes in the sink.
And, unfolded laundry or whatever. Right. But I feel like it's a disservice to people to give them a home valuation without stepping foot in their house. Even if it's the same 1,600 square foot twin home that we've seen a million times. Like, well,
we don't know what kind of upgrades you've done. We don't know.
Did you put in marble countertops, marble floors? Do you smoke 45 cigarettes a day inside?
Does your cat pee on the floor?
How much does your cat pee on the floor every day? Like, you know what I mean? So it's just tough. I always say, especially like the more unique the property, you're like, who am I to just show up at your door, just some guy? Like, yeah, your house is worth this. So we like to come out, like get a real good feel for the property to then check out comps and again, give you the best. But we say range too, because the market is like an ever changing thing. So right now, the way the market is kind of going, it's been like, kind of goes up, like historically it goes like this, right? For you listeners on the radio, I pointed up and down, and then I did a straight diagonal line indicating the market's been going up.
Going up.
But the market goes up and down, but historically, appreciates over time. But we always try to price in front of the market, right? Because I don't want you to make decisions based on what I'm telling you and have that be inaccurate. You know what I mean? And so we always say we try to price ahead of the market. So when the market is going up, so say that same, the average, I'd say the median sales price, if I were to guess, and we knew this a couple months ago, but I would guess Fargo-Moorhead, West Fargo, like 250,000, give or take.
I'd agree. Right around there.
So market's going up, we might be able to get away with pricing it at 255, 260, right? But if the market's kind of stagnating or even coming down, we probably want to price at 240, 245, because you want to plan. It's like throwing a ball or passing a puck or something. Like you pass to where the guy's going, so you want to pass to where the market's going, sort of thing. Because like what we talked about in our other episode with buyers, like buyers base their offer usually on days on market, and so especially in that, like we're just pretty used to homes selling pretty quickly. So we price the house too high, and that's kind of a whole other conversation. But basically your first step would be to have a real estate professional come out, view your home. Like I said, go back to the lab, show you comparable sales, usually from the last 6 months. The way the market was for a couple months there, I was only going back 90 days or 3 months. Sometimes if it's more of a unique property, you have to go back a year, but the market changes. Our market is somewhat cyclical, but too, again, if the market's going up, it doesn't matter what happened a year ago. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So that's going to be kind of your first step.
Well, and really quick, I'll just touch on that range too, because like I'm never gonna go into a house and say your house is worth 300,000. Like I want you to also be a part of that decision in how much you want to try to sell your house. So, say the range is 300 to 320. And you want to list at that 300,000 because you need your house to sell like right now.
Right, because you found the next property, then you want to help. You want to get it sold right now, or you've sold a house in the past and you kind of got burned trying to for whatever reason. But it's based on your motivation, right?
Maybe you have some time and maybe you go towards the higher part of that range. But I want my client to be a part of that decision too. So
100%. And then too, like, it is very much a collaborative effort because there's a lot of stuff that we can do and control, but like, you know, I always joke about cigarettes or animals or cat, whatever, but like,
Yep.
I can't, you know, we can't make you quit smoking in the house if you've been smoking in the house, but that's not going to make your house, it's not going to make it easier to sell,
Yep.
you know, and
And
not to discriminate against
Yep,
smoke, but that's
right.
just an easy idea. Like, we both shown a million houses, you walk in, like, that can be an immediate turnoff for somebody, or somebody has animal allergies or something like that. But we can't,
Yep.
you know, we can't make sure that the house is, you know, super clean all the time. We can't ensure that your grass is cut all the time,
Yep.
that sort of thing. So it is very much a collaborative effort.
So I feel like that's the toughest part about this listing process is coming up with that price.
Mhm.
But let's say we've got the price. We know what we're going to list for.
Mhm.
What's our next step?
Well, now we just got to get it ready to get sold. And so that leads then into another conversation. So usually if you have a house to sell, you're going somewhere. Like, people, pretty rare that someone sells their house and then moves into an apartment. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like,
Right.
okay, well, now we got a house to buy. So now what do we do? Because I've heard this a million times, like, I don't want to be homeless,
Mhm.
right? So they basically like a twofold thing that you can do. So we can make the sale of your home subject to owner purchase, subject to you buying a house, right? But when you do that, you know, you run a certain amount of risk on one end, but then if you don't list and wait for the right house to pop up, you then run the risk of your offer not getting accepted,
Right.
because the more contingencies you have in an offer, the less attractive that offer is. So
Absolutely.
if somebody offers cash, no inspection, that's a much more attractive offer than the same price, contingent on inspection, contingent on your home getting listed and getting sold. You know what I mean? So it's like, how do we,
Sure.
so and I just had this conversation. Again, that goes back to your motivation. So I'll usually put it on the client. So it's like, you know, how would you feel if we got your house listed and the buyer got impatient on you waiting to find a place,
Right.
which is a real thing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you just got done
Absolutely.
dealing with something like
Yep.
that. Like, that's a real thing. So you know, you run that risk, and then all of a sudden they back out, they get their earnest money back, and now you just burned 60 days on market or something,
Yep.
right? On the flip side of that, how would you feel if your dream home finally pops up and you can't get it because your offer, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Doesn't get accepted because it's like, well, hold on, we got to hurry up and get our home sold and that sort of thing.
Yep.
So again, putting it on the client, there's no real right way or wrong way. Like, our job as real estate professionals is to be a true fiduciary and act within the client's best interest. So I'd never say, oh, you should do this for sure.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And it depends on the person too and their
100%.
situation. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever's best for that
100%.
client.
And sometimes I'll ask, like, well, what would you do? And I'll tell them, like, well, if it was me, based on my situation, this is what I probably would do. But again, like, there's so many variables that are different between
Yep.
you and I that
Right.
it's tough to answer unless you've specifically done that. Like, well, when I sold my house, this is what we did, and then this, you know what I mean? So, you know, we just want to give as much information as possible to help the client make the best decision possible. And even if that means not listing their house and not
yeah.
moving, right?
Yep.
Because like we try to, I'm sure going to talk about it in every podcast. Like, our job is to spread joy and empower other people, right? And that's, you know, a lot of our business comes from repeat and referral customers, and you don't get that by acting within your best interest. You get that, you earn those referrals by doing what's best for those, and people really
Right.
appreciate that.
Yep.
And it is tough. Like, sometimes you know what I mean? Like, as much as you think the client should do something else, you know what I mean? It's like, is you know, you put your head on the pillow at night knowing, like, hey, I gave them exactly all the information they needed to make the decision for themselves, and they did, you know. But yeah, so once we determine the price, oh yeah, we're talking about stopping. Yeah. I blacked out again. Yeah,
This
there it is.
podcast sucks,
Oh,
dude.
yeah, stinks. Okay, so what next? But so that's what's next, right? So you got to get your home ready for sale. But are you going to get it ready for sale Are you going to try and buy something and then get ready for sale, or are you going to get it ready to sale and then buy something? But that getting it ready for sale is a whole conversation around. A lot of times, especially in this market, like the absorption rate has been under 3 months for a long time, so it's been more so a seller's market. And in a seller's market, you can get away with doing less, putting less into the home. So the conversations that we've been having for a long time is, people are like, well, do I need to replace this? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? And a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times the answer is like, no. You need to, the 3Ds we call them. So you need to just deep clean this place. Deep clean, because you want it to be as blank of a slate as possible for somebody coming in, right? So if somebody walks in, it smells fresh, the carpet's clean, like that shows much better than, than not being deep clean, right?
I've heard like taking pictures of yourself and your family down is helpful too. Do you think that's true?
Oh,
Just so people can imagine their pictures up there and stuff like that.
100%. So number one is the first D is deep clean. Number two is the depersonalize, right?
Oh.
So you like that? Wah, 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 wah. So depersonalize. So it's exact same thing. So because you want it to be a blank slate, as just kind of a blank slate. So taking down personal photos, and then I feel terrible doing this, but sometimes you don't want anything even like polarizing up there. So if it's like an election year and somebody has a Make America Great flag in their house, or if somebody has a Biden Harris flag in their house, like I don't have a dog in that fight, but it's like, if it's something polarizing like that, like you might turn off half the people that come in here. So it might be better off. And the thing that I absolutely do not like to do, and maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. Maybe we'll get the viewer's opinion on it. But even if there's, a lot of times people have like a big cross somewhere on the house, or like an old picture of Jesus, or the Last Supper or something like that. And I'll make a joke about it. Like I feel absolutely terrible about saying this, but like, again, that's something that could potentially turn off another buyer, right?
Yep.
And
and why risk it?
And I'll square it away with Jesus when I see him, but hopefully he understands, like that's the last, you know what I mean? But that depersonalizing it, making it as just kind of, a clean slate as possible, deep clean, depersonalize, and then declutter. So like pretty much anybody's kitchen island when they're living in the house has a bunch of stuff on it, right?
Not mine. Have you met my wife?
I have met Mac Mommy, and she's a wonderful human. You're a lucky man.
She cleans a lot. Anyways.
Shout out, Mac. Okay. Well, Nikki D, on the other hand, I'm just kidding. But like, you see that all the time where there's like blenders and Keurigs and air fryers and all the salt and pepper shaker, all that type of stuff is just out on the counter, right? So like, imagine your house like the day you moved in, when it's just a total blank slate, versus now all your stuff is on there. Like everything looks smaller, everything looks tighter. So if we could declutter, right?
Yep.
And we'll do that a lot of times. That's another nice thing when we walk through. When we walk through the house is then I just did this the other day, where it's like, okay, how about we keep this piece and this piece, but that piece, and that piece come down, right? Because that's the other piece. Like when you like are, and some people sometimes we'll do a home valuation just so people have an idea of what their place is worth. But when people are ready to get their home sold, it's like, all right, man, well, like you're moving, right? So let's get packing, And I always say too, when it comes to the declutter, that usually goes out the window for the garage. Because in most homes with an attached garage, what in my experience and most people do, they'll, whether it's a bi-level, Rambler, or whatever, main floor, go upstairs, check out the basement, before you leave, check out the garage, right? So in my opinion, like, well, if there's going to be one spot of the house that's not spotless and, decluttered, that have it be the garage.
Sure.
Because they can see, it's like, is it sheetrocked or not? Is it heated or not? And then does it got a floor drain or not? And then that's pretty much what they want to know. So deep clean, depersonalize, and declutter is kind of the big stuff to get your home ready.
So then once that's done, we're moving on to pictures, right?
Photographs.
Okay.
Look at this photograph.
Do you?
Time I do it makes
Some
me
people
laugh.
just take them on their phone. Can you believe that?
Some people shouldn't. Some people should not. No. So the next thing we do is it's staged, it's ready. So then we get a photographer in there.
Yeah, professional photographer.
Professional photographer. You know, even with like cool iPhones and all that, like they can take a decent picture, but there's so much like lighting and touch-ups that can be done after the fact. So many angles that, you know, a pro versus an amateur. It's just so big.
It's the wide angle lens too.
100%.
It's wild.
And like that online has kind of replaced the first showing, right? So the last thing you'd want to do is to save a couple bucks, you know, which is on us anyway. Like I pay for we pay for the photos for the clients anyway, so they're not saving any money. But it's sometimes they're like, oh, I could just do it myself. It's like, we could do it though. So, but that's kind of replaced the first showing. So we'd hate to lose out on somebody that, you know. And it's true. Like if you look through photo, like we just did that the other day. We went and looked at that one place. We're like, oh, this place is great. And then we looked at the photos online. We're like, yikes, you know, because, you know, it's a real thing.
That's how you're even going to get people in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Is those photos.
100%.
That's where it all starts, is on Zillow and Realtor.com and the MLS, all
100%.
that. So
usually we'll say like, I'll ask it this way, when are you going to be ready for photos? And they say Monday. I'll be like, okay, cool. I'll have my photographer out there Monday, and then Wednesday we'll go live. So usually like Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, you know, we'll have the sign out. We'll have the lockbox out, which is that blue box that we access to get in the house. So we'll take photos Monday, and then that way we've got, you know, 24 hours to do all the touch-ups and all that type of stuff to the photos. And then boom, Wednesday we're live. So, and then usually when we meet too, like if somebody is going to sell, you've always got to fill out a seller's property disclosure.
Mm.
So it'll ask like, when did you buy the home? 2015. Okay. Where's the title? Cass County Abstract. How many pets live here? Have you ever had an insurance claim? Like super ton of questions. And we always tell people like those disclosures are there to protect the seller, really.
Oh yeah.
Because you had it not that long ago too, where it's like somebody buys a house, something's not disclosed, all of a sudden now next spring, basement floods,
mm-hmm.
and then the basement guy that comes out be like, oh yeah, they knew about this for sure. And then it gets into this, you know, do we sue them? Do we not sue them? Do we, you know, this is a whole mess. So what we always say there is like, you always want to err on the side of over disclosing,
I was gonna
right?
say, yep.
Yeah. Cause you know, it'd be pretty rare that it's like anything, like you just have an open and honest conversation up front. It's like, okay, that's no big deal. You know, or maybe we'll have to account for that in the price.
People get it too. Like owning a house, like stuff goes wrong. It's not going to be perfect. You know, even when you build a new house, it's not going to be perfect.
100%.
So over disclose, that way you can't get sued later down the road.
100%. And then, so with the pre-listing homework that we give, it's always nice to get to help us with our marketing, like a list of upgrades. What have you done to the house? And sometimes it might be nothing, or sometimes it could be like 2 pages worth of stuff. But what have you done to the house? What do you love about the house? And then we need to get a spare key from you so that other agents can access the door. And then I always like to get an average 12-month utility as well.
I like that. I like that you do that.
Yeah, well,
Going above and beyond.
Above and beyond, baby.
Good on you.
Heck yeah. But, especially around here, like there's a lot of homes that are heated with like electric baseboards or electric force heat, or even just whatever, gas. Well, with the price of gas now, like anything. But people just want to know, okay, because a lender can be like, okay, well, here's your principal, interest, taxes, insurance, specials, whatever, payment. But then how much is going to be to operate the house?
If you're coming from an apartment, like you're probably used to your heat being paid for and stuff like that. So it's like, what do I expect? You know, give me a ballpark on how much money I need to have every month.
Yeah. And then it's also another thing that we just started doing. It's pretty cool just to be like a cool thing for the seller to do with the buyer. Be like, hey, garbage comes out this day.
Yeah.
Here's your mailbox key, your mailbox numbers, you know, just to make it like as smooth of a transition for them as possible. Because we get that all the time on closing day. It's like, oh, shoot, I still got a garage door opener. And, oh, hey, what's the garage code to get in? And what's this and what's that, you know? So just making it because it's a lot. Buying and selling. Somebody's buying, then there's the final walkthrough, and there could be last minute stuff or whatever. So just making it as easy as possible. But we take photos, we get all that homework back from you, and then we go live, and then we blast it out on the MLS. start, you know, making calls to our database, etc. And then that's when
That's another episode though.
it's
Your house is now listed. So
we're live. Yeah. So
now the rest is kind of in our hands though, honestly. Like
100%.
to market it and stuff. So
100%.
it's kind of off the client. Like, yeah, you got to leave for showings and stuff, but I mean, we do all the marketing for you and stuff. So
now it's time to punch in and go to work, son.
that's right.
Heck yeah.
Josh actually, before we started this, said, I can't do this for any longer than 20 minutes. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he rambled for over 25 minutes.
Oh,
So
I gotta go. Yeah, but well, it's just one of those things where there's just as simple as it sounds. Like, well, I just got to sell my house in order to buy another one. It's like
Right.
cool, and that is super simple on the surface. But there's like,
well, we could do a whole episode on just
oh, dude,
that.
there's so much logistics, and that's when people get really antsy and really nervous. Like, where am I? Do we need to get a hotel? Do we need to get a truck? Do we need
Yeah.
this? Do we need what do we need? All that type of stuff. So like again, our job, like there's only so much that we could control, but our job for our clients to again spread joy and empower other people and have it be a great experience for them is to like go above and beyond to make sure that we can, right?
It's a good note to end on.
Heck yeah.
A lot at. You got anything else to add?
Just watch for deer.
Shake your bud.